First one I ever heard of was
We're getting too high tech.
I'm glad they're handling that.
Yeah, me too.
I hear you.
better. Some way to Midwest was a wheat straw road
Good evening, everyone. The Prince Edward County Plant. My apologies. The Prince Edward County Planning Commission strongly encourages citizens to participate in public meetings through in-person participation, written comments, and/or remote participation by calling 1-844-890-7777. The access code is 390313. Additionally, citizens may view the Planning Commission meeting live in its entirety at the county's YouTube channel, the link to which is provided on the website. Public hearing comments for Planning Commission meetings are subject to the Citizen Guide for providing input during public participation and public hearings for Prince Edward County government meetings, revised October 12th, 2022. At this time, I'd like to call the June meeting to order. We're going to take roll for a quorum. Mrs. Sandlin?
Here.
Mr. Fuller?
Present.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt? Mr. Leatherwood?
Here.
Mr. Page?
Here.
Mr. Peary?
Here.
Mr. Weiss?
Here.
Mr. Womack?
Here.
Mr. Pringerman here. We do have a quorum. At this time, I'd like to ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This evening's meeting, we do have 3 public hearings. I know there's been some questions already about the flag ordinance. The flag ordinance is not on this at this meeting. It was pushed back from the County Board of Supervisors to the Planning Commission. It is required that we have a notification for 2 weeks, public notice. There was no time to do that, so that will be on our July agenda. So there'll be no discussion and no communication, nothing regarding the flag ordinance at this meeting. So the first thing we have is approval of the minutes from the last month's meeting. Do I have a motion, or do I have any changes to the minutes?
I have a change.
Go ahead, Jim.
On page 5, down toward the bottom, there being no further wishing to speak, it says Chairman Pringerman closed the public hearing. That would probably be me.
Yes, sir. That would be you. You are correct.
And you weren't here, so,
You want your credit, don't you?
well, yeah, I guess.
I got a nickel. Are there any other changes to the minutes? With that one change, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We'll go around. Mr. Weiss?
I am going to abstain because I was not here
Good.
at the meeting like
Okay,
you were.
there you go.
Had a conflict.
Mr. Peary?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Mr. Leatherwood?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Sandlin?
Yes.
Mr. Womack?
Yes.
Okay. Minutes are approved. The first item on the agenda, the public hearing, Mark Smith, doing business as Sandy River Distillery. Mr. Smith, would you have a minute? Actually, Rob, why don't you go ahead and give us an overview, then I'll ask you to come up for a minute, just give us a brief explanation as far as the request.
Chairman, members of the commission, the county received an application for a special use permit from Mark Smith doing business as Sandy River Distillery for special use permit to construct a restaurant and brew pub along with provisions for up to 5 mobile food establishments. This is on tax map 053-A-27C2 and 053-A-27C3 at 147 Monroe Church Road, Farmville, Virginia. This property is on A1 agricultural conservation, and restaurants, brew pubs are required to have a special use permit before they can operate. This public hearing was duly advertised in the Farmville Herald. The adjoining property owners were sent a notification letter. You have that in your packet, and also have a tax map in your packet. I've got a couple calls. I had a call from Miss Amy Allison, which you do have a letter at your place sitting. And I also had a call from a Miss Terry Chadwick. Now, that was a voicemail. I was out of my office. I called her back 3 times, and I left her voicemail messages letting her know that tonight's meeting was happening, but I have not gotten a call back from her. But I did make 3 efforts to try to contact her, the latest being today. She called me Thursday. Other than that, I've had no other communications from the public concerning this application, and I did prepare a set of potential conditions, which I emailed to Mr. Smith. I'd be glad to answer any questions you all might have of me.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Love?
Robert, the person who played phone tag with you, did she leave a message, a substantive message? Like, did
She
she
said
say
she wanted to
anything?
know what the sign out there was about, and so I called and left her a message, told her what it was. I left a detailed voicemail. She never called me back, but I did make 3 phone calls to try to get her to call me back, just to make sure she got my message.
So you don't know for or against or anything?
I don't know anything,
substance?
no. She just wanted to know what the sign was about.
Any other questions? Just to explain real quick how the public hearings work. We always ask for the requester or somebody representing to come up and speak and give us an overview of the special use permit. At that time, once that's done, any questions that come up from the board, back to that, then we open the public hearing. From that standpoint, anybody that's signed up outside will be given the time to speak, for or against. We'll also ask the audience. We do ask at all times, anybody that needs to speak to come up to the podium, introduce themselves, say where they live in the county, and then we always have 3 minutes, limitation of 3 minutes as far as speaking up there. The board can respond and ask for further information regarding that. We prefer that anybody in the audience here with questions will come up to the board, be called upon and come up to the podium, to speak, rather than speaking from the seats. Once we're all done with that, everything was discussed there. And at that time also, anybody that has a question directed to the requester, they can reply. Once that's all done, we will close the public hearing. The board will discuss what's going on, and we'll make a decision whether to pass it on, approve and pass it on to the board, whether we delay it, bring it back and table it, or whether we turn it down. And then at that time, we will go on to the next public hearing. If it is approved by the board here, the Planning Commission Board, it will be moved up to the Board of Supervisors for their next meeting. With that, I'd like to ask Mr. Smith to come up. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Planning Commission. I think most of you guys know me by now. Mark Smith, the owner of Sandy River Outdoor Adventures and Sandy River Distillery. And what we're doing here is just trying to have a more viable business. Our customers have been asking for food, and that's what we want to give them. We're not trying to do a large restaurant out there by any means. We just want something for our patrons to be able to have while they're out there enjoying the view. Food trucks, not intending to put 5 out there. Actually, we might have 1 or 2 out there during a special event. But again, that's just for your experience, to give you a better experience. Things are going wonderfully out there at our distillery, and I just want to make sure that, that we are delivering the best quality service that we can deliver our customer. So I guess we would like to start with having a pizza truck out there. We've looked at these ladies pretty hard. They make an excellent pizza. It's a Neapolitan-style pizza. It's just a little 16-foot trailer. Not a whole lot of pizzas can be slung out of that thing. It's a small trailer. But they make a wood-fired pizza, Neapolitan style. It's one of the best pizzas I've ever had in the United States of America. Only pizza that I've had better than their pizza was in Italy, and I mean that. So we're bringing something to the county that county really, you guys, I think, would appreciate. So, anybody have any questions for me? I'll be glad to answer them.
Mr. Smith, what are your intended hours of operation for the restaurant?
Yes, sir, it'd be 12 to 9 o'clock would be the latest we'd stay open, so.
Is that 7 days a week?
I would like to have the option to be open 7 days a week, though we will call those hours out in the wintertime, as, you know, business as demand will dictate.
Mark, just to clarify, all preparations will be done within the food trucks. There'll be no preparations. You aren't going to have a kitchen or anything like that per se.
As for now, all preparations will be done in that food truck.
And the facility is just to be, this is where you're going to go ahead and sit and eat. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yes, sir. They could use my facility to sit and eat, certainly. They might have a couple picnic tables in front of their food truck, organized in underneath the trees. If somebody didn't want to walk down there, they could certainly just eat up there next to the food truck.
And to clarify, I didn't quite hear your answer on the seasonal. What were you talking about seasonal?
Well, the wintertime, it gets cold.
Yeah.
And we don't really have an indoor space, a great indoor space to have patrons there in the cold of the winter. So on nice days, obviously, when we think we could have business, we would like to be open.
So you're looking for a 12-month, you aren't going to specify, you aren't going to specify by month, sir.
Yes, sir. I would like to have the permission to do it for 12 months, though we would, obviously, I don't believe that we would be open 12 months out of the year. We do want to have the permission also, though, that if things go very well, that we could build a restaurant that would be approved by you guys, obviously, before we built it. Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So, Mark, is the request in front of us for this pizza
The
truck, or
request,
that's one of the food trucks, but your request is to build a permanent restaurant on the site?
yes, sir, a permanent restaurant on the site.
Okay.
And permission to continue having the food trucks out there.
Right, but the sequence of events is the pizza truck is coming first?
That's correct.
And then at some point, a permanent building?
Yes, sir, Mr. Weiss.
In the same spot, same area?
In the same location, yes, sir.
Mark, is the pizza truck going to be there permanently, or will be coming and going?
It will be there semi-permanently, probably over the next, through the summer season and through the fall, probably more permanent than seasonally.
I'm just curious, you're not looking for somebody to pull in and pull out every day then with the?
No, sir, not pull in and pull out every day necessarily. If it's a good hit, like I think it's going to be, they're going to stay there.
Got one more question.
Go right ahead.
Mark, on the, lost my train of thought here. It's not going to affect the distillery, the size of the distillery, anything. This is completely separate, so whatever has been approved for the distillery stands as that, and we're just looking at the food venue, is that correct?
Yeah, I'll make a point of clarification on it. Distillery operation by our code is a by right use if they have the Virginia ABC and they operate as a craft distillery. So this added a service. It requires a special use permit. When I talked to Mr. Smith, I told him I didn't want him to come back in a year or 2 years for another special use permit to build his brew pub. Try to get it all encompassed, and for transparency, know that that's where the business probably is going to go in the future.
That's correct. We feel like that's the best place for us, just to have this thing ironed out and move forward with growing the county.
Yes,
Question. So, the parking for all of these food operations will be on-site?
Yes, sir,
on the
that's
same
correct.
site. And there's room for however many parking spaces you need for the 30 people in the restaurant, et cetera, et cetera?
Mr. Weiss, right now, we have parking for about 20 cars at the distillery, and we have another parking across the street for about 40 cars.
And then my last question is, how would you address the traffic issues or traffic impacts or use of Monroe Church Road?
So our businesses, traffic has dropped significantly after COVID. We had a ton of vehicles coming over the last couple of years to our business. But they are no longer coming to our business, they're going to hotels again, and they're going overseas. So we created the distillery, we planned this in advance because we knew that we needed something to make this business viable and make it a sustainable business. And that's what I'm after here. I'm trying to create a sustainable business. So the traffic, I don't think you're going to notice much of a difference in traffic from the last 2 years than you will this year or next year. When it becomes a problem, I'm moving over to our 100 acres on the other side of the reservoir, and we're going to build a really major, awesome restaurant over there. And in fact, I've already brought a 3,000 square foot building on site. It's sitting over there. I need to get the permits to erect it and build it, but I'm taking this one step at a time.
One more question, Mark. You alluded to going ahead and having people cross Monroe Church Road. I don't know whether we need to put any stipulations, but of course, not crosswalk per se, but at least signage indicating pedestrian traffic and that type of scenario, I think would be appropriate if there's half your business going to be coming back and forth across the highway.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fuller. They're actually, VDOT has already put those signs up for us. Though we have many people that do not obey the signage.
Well,
And I try to flag them down when I see them, but, we can put more signs up. We can try to do that sort of thing. I just wish people would obey the signage. Most people do.
Yes, go right ahead.
one of the pictures that's in our packet here, inside of it says Simple Pizza. That looks like a Connex box where you roll off. Is that the type of?
In the future, that's most likely what it would be. I wanted to give you an idea of what that's what we've been doing, the Connex boxes. The whole idea came about because Candy and I are world travelers, and the idea is that we would bring spirits that we sampled all over the world to Rice, Virginia. And that's what we're doing. In fact, we have agave spirit that we've brought from Mexico, imported from Mexico. We have rum that we've brought in from the Caribbean. We have California grapes that we've brought in to make brandy with. So we're trying to, the idea of the Connex box was to, kind of show that we're blending the old, the 1840s log cabin with the new, and that's the Connex boxes, the shipping containers that traveled all over the world, kind of like Candy and I have. And that remains. I'm not exactly sure if we will use the Connex box, but that's one of two ideas that I have. The other idea is that we would use a grain silo and make that into the restaurant, and kind of keeping with the rustic farm aspect of our county.
Any other questions for Mr. Smith? Mark, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to open the public hearing. I do have one person that signed up to speak. Julie, is it Maserdian?
Julia Surgeon.
Okay, Maserdian, okay, I apologize.
No worries, I think it was Friday or Saturday, I sent a letter to Mr. Gilliam and to Mr. Jenkins, my representative on the board, the Prince Edward Board, Apparently, neither one of them got it. So I'll just encapsulate this, but I would like to defer that because I go into much greater detail than I'm going to here to talk about some of the issues that some of the residents on Monroe Church Road have. And I guess I should have stated that I live on 567 with my husband, Monroe Church Road. And we moved there about a year ago. We absolutely love the area. We love what Mark and Candy have been doing with certainly support a small-scale restaurant, the food truck. They know many times I've been over there during events, and it's like, where's food? We need food. So I think this has been one of those things that they're really responding to local and also their visitors. So I do support this. I have some reservations about traffic, and some of you guys have already mentioned that. I'm a walker. We have runners on this road. It really, from right before Reservoir Road to Green Bay, it narrows, it's windy, and people fly on that road sometimes. A lot of people are very, very respectful. Some people play chicken. I've ended up in the ditch a couple of times, and there's no real adherence to that crosswalk either, because it sort of almost comes around as a blind curve, as Mark and Candy know. They have expressed reservations about the speed. VDOT has had a complaint from the county for almost 2 years and have done nothing with the speed study. So I can imagine as the business continues to grow, as the neighborhood continues to grow, there are 20 homes there and 10 rentals. So that's a strip of a mile. I think it should be zoned as residential and commercial, as it is in most places at 25 miles an hour, knowing full well that everyone will go 35. But still, certainly better than most people have done. And I must say, a lot of people are very respectful. Paul and I have been on the road many times. They do slow down. They get way over. But then some people, I've actually had people play chicken with me. And so they're coming at me, and I'm as far over as I can go. There's no berm. There's nothing, no shoulder to get over on. You're in the ditch if they don't get over. So happens infrequently, but enough that we should all be a little scared when we walk that road. And I have a neighbor who's a runner, and much the same thing has happened to him as well. So I think really knowing that the speed limit isn't 55 on that narrow little road would be of great benefit to the residents. So as you're considering expanding, certainly I think the traffic patterns and the speed limit should most certainly be considered as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else here that would like to speak for or against this special use permit? Sure. If you'll come on up to the podium.
Hello. I know most of you probably know me. I'm Carolyn Bowman with the Farmer's Daughters, and I approve of them expanding their business because right now, a lot of people stop at my shop and ask, where's a good place to eat? And it's few and far between, so I hope we can now send them and stay into Rice. But I approve of any business expanding, especially in our area, and they've got the go-Joe to it. And I know they're very successful at what they're doing now, and I know they can march onward and do better. So I approve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody on the phone? Okay. If you'd like to be, who's on the phone, announce yourself, and please take 3 minutes to speak. Is anybody on the call? If we could go one at a time, that would be great. Please just state your name and then.
We seem to be going at the same, no matter what, so. I'm Carol Conrad of Prince Edward, Maryland.
Carol, do you want to speak on the special use permit for the Sandy River Distillery as far as the restaurant, pizza?
No, I waited to speak on the, junkyard in her.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody else on the call that wants to speak regarding the special use permit for Mark Smith? No, sir. Okay, thank you. I do have one letter that I need to read. This came from Amy Alliston. Dear Planning Commission, I'm a close neighbor to Mark Smith and have adjoining property which is my home. I have no problem with the current retreat, but have had to get used to the frequent activity, noise, and events going on, which includes a lot of traffic, frequent live music, the bustle of human activity, and large gatherings. Myself and other neighbors have had wandering guests come into our properties looking for the resort or exploring at night and even making campfires. I do have concerns about expansion as the traffic will be dangerous on our small road, which is very narrow and fast with no shoulder, not to mention the light and noise pollution is appreciated from inside my house since I'm near the street. I am not thrilled with the idea of living next to a restaurant and bar with 5 food trucks always offering takeout. The level of activity does not seem to comply with the rural lifestyle for those of us who want to enjoy the peaceful countryside of our community. Sincerely, Amy Alliston. And that letter was distributed to the board. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
My name's Rex Williams. I own Lost Creek Cabin Rentals right down the road from Mark, and I truly believe that road is dangerous, because I rode my bicycle around through there twice and then abandoned it. So I thought speed bumps would do good. I don't think we should stop progress. You know, you got to land. I know y'all got a hard job. I don't want it, but we're free. And so if a man wants to do something on his property, I think take close attention to it and let them do it. That's America. Thank you.
Thank you. With the comments regarding the traffic, the speed and everything, we will reach out to Scott Frederick from VDOT and see if we can have a speed study done for that area. That would be the easiest thing to do, is look at the speed limit. I know it's much more difficult to look at changing the road, either expanding the road or, putting in curbs and shoulders. So we will ask for a speed study to be done, and hopefully we'll be able to get a response from VDOT, and we'll bring that up at one of the board meetings.
Mr. Chairman, I talked to Scott today. Previously, I think there wasn't enough traffic on Monroe Church to justify, but they're going to go back out and count those additional counts. So if counts have picked up, that may lend more credence to doing the speed study and trying to determine if they can lower it. I would not expect it at 25, but certainly if we get to 40 or 45, it would certainly make a difference. But hopefully between now and the board, maybe we'll get an answer back from VDOT.
Okay. Mr. Stanley, thank you very much. With no other comments or questions, we're going to close this portion of the public hearing to give the board an opportunity to discuss. Gentlemen and ladies. Any comments, questions?
I think on the staff's perspective, we did offer hours of operation. I didn't put that in there. I knew that would come. You may want to discuss that.
First and foremost, we have an opportunity for additional business. We do have a challenge with the roads, which we have to address. Our only way to do that is really address it through VDOT. And as Mr. Love said, we do have an issue or a concern relative to hours that we would need to address if we decide to approve and move this forward to the Board of Supervisors. In addition to any conditions, we would have to look at that aspect of it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I ask Mr. Smith a question?
Yes, please go right
I
ahead.
noticed on the drawing that the property also fronts Green Bay Road. So if it ends up being a really bad situation on Monroe Church, is it possible to change the entrance to Green Bay Bay.
I think we can do that.
It's a good point. That's a great point. Any other questions or comments?
No, I was just gonna go ahead and echo what Teresa said, is that if you have directions, people are asking or in your publications, direct them in through Green Bay. I know Sammy's looking back there, but Green Bay Road is much, and that would take off those curves. And, if you can get direct traffic in through the Green Bay Road, you get away from a lot of that, access back towards 460.
Road Church. Mr. Leatherwood, yes.
I'm just curious as to, right now, your attendance, is it highly, just strictly weekends, or is it during the week?
So right now, our hours of operation are, Thursday, we are operating from, 4:30 to 8:30. Friday and Saturday, it's 2:30 to 8:30, and Sunday, it's 12 to 5. The restaurant would adhere to the same hours as our distillery. The summer, we decided that this week, that we were going to extend our distillery hours 7 days a week, but within those same hour parameters of 2:30 to 8:30, and then it's still the same on Sunday. Yep, what's that? Sometimes we do have an event, but they do not go past 5 o'clock on Sunday.
I guess my question, Mark, would be, consideration of hours, you're looking possibly 12 to 9 here, and these hours are more consistent with 8:30? I mean,
That's correct. Right now, our hours are 2:30 to 8:30,
Right.
but I wanted to ask for more, and I think that 9 o'clock would be acceptable.
would you then look at changing these hours to 9 o'clock also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think that would probably avoid a little bit of confusion
Yes,
that
sir.
way in your operation.
They will match.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So 12 to 9, 7 days a week, correct?
except for Sunday.
Except Sunday.
And
It's just
then-
the shorter hours.
That's right. We close at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
On special events, up to 5 different food service vehicles or trailers or what?
I highly doubt that it'll ever, we've never had that before. We've had 2, 3, 1 didn't show. We had two out of 3 that showed up. But really, I don't think we'll ever go over 2 or 3, ever. Never.
Okay.
So, but, certainly it's nice to have the ability to have that. But I don't think we're going for that at all.
Is it a certain number of people that you call maximum for your facility?
Maximum, it's hard to say, because people come and go. You know, they're there and then they leave. Usually people are there no more than an hour. And then we have a new group come in, or maybe an hour, or 20 minutes. I would say for the restaurant, max ever 100 for a restaurant, max ever. You know, more than likely, it'll be less than 50. If we have the issue of them being, you know, of the demand being so good, we have that demand. Again, I have a 3,000 square foot building that I've already brought over. It's a wood steel building that I've brought over to our Clearwater resort that we are intending to build when I get to it. But it's there, and when it's ready, we're going to move everything over there. The big restaurant and the big resort. So it's just this is our stepping stone to get to that place.
Thank you.
And just a point of clarification, if you remember that, that second site is approved for restaurant and those type of services already.
Yes, sir, go right ahead.
Have you ever talked with one way? Because the people that live on that street, when they go out, they just go out 460. And the people from this place come down Green Bay and go, so nobody can come from that way.
That would be something that would need to come from VDOT the same way. Yeah, but point well taken. Like I said, I think the study that VDOT will do is based upon traffic count, and then they'll come back with recommendations or changes to be put in, but thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
No question. Mark, on the special events, what's the most number of people you think we could possibly,
We've had 200 cars parked over there already.
200 cars?
200, yep. And that was, we estimated about 500 people there at one time. We do an event maybe 3 or 4 times a year, a big event. We actually have a big event coming up this Saturday. I encourage all of you guys to come. Come please support the Rice Volunteer Fire Department. $20 a ticket. All the proceeds from this event, from the food sales, go directly to the Rice Volunteer Fire Department. So I hope we hit that number of 500, but I don't think we will. I think it'll be about 150, 200 people.
Okay.
In fact, I think it would be a wonderful place for everybody to come this weekend and just kind of check it out on Saturday.
What are the hours on that?
The hours we're doing on Saturday are going to be 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Yes, sir. For the fire department. Yep. So we're doing pig picking. So I've got a 250-pound hog and just bought a ton of coleslaw from Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's 2 kinds of people in this world. People who love Kentucky Fried Chicken and liars. So, yeah, that's a joke. But anyways, and baked beans and free soft drinks, that sort of thing. So, trying to raise some money for these boys that helped me out during my tragedy last year.
Very good. With that, if there aren't any more questions, from the board standpoint, do we have a motion regarding the special use permit?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve, or recommend approval, excuse me, of the special use permit with the added condition of the hours which we discussed.
12 to 9, Monday through Saturday, and 12 to
Until
5 on Sunday?
on Sunday.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct hours. And although the narrative said seasonal operation, it sounds like it's evolved to year-round, potentially year-round operation. So just to clarify, those hours are year-round.
Yeah, year-round, and basically your operation is weather permitting in this area, yes, okay.
Second.
Do we have a second? Okay. With that, we'll go through the board here. Mr. Womack?
Yes.
Mr. Weiss?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Mr. Leatherwood?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Sandlin?
Yes.
Mr. Pringerman, yes, okay. The motion is approved unanimously. We will pass it on to the County Board of Supervisors to bring up at their next meeting. Thank you so much. If anybody chooses not to stay for the next public hearings, that's fine. You can leave now. Well, I'll just give anybody a minute if they want to leave. Okay, I thought so, yeah, I wasn't sure. I've seen him drive the truck. Yeah. He's a nice guy. That's it, there's no. No, the only one we have is for the flags. Yeah, we know who that is. Okay. Okay. Next on the agenda would be the public hearing for James Robert Napier, truck yard towing and recovery lot. Mr. Love, if you could give us an overview?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is an application we received from James Robert Napier to establish a truck yard for the purpose of towing and recovery operation on tax map 115A-36 at the intersection of State Route 630 and with its intersection of 360. This property, if you look at the tax map, it's on both sides of 360.
Right.
So it's a two-part parcel that the road bisected when it was 4-lane. But it is one parcel.
Right.
And Mr. Napier purchased this property in recent times and put forth this application. This public hearing was properly advertised in the Farmville Herald. Adjoining property owners were notified, and again, you have the tax map of the parcel. He's looking to do a 200 by 130 fenced area with an office, building on Free State Road, and a future 200 by 200 overflow lot on Price Gee Road for the purpose of temporary vehicle storage. The vehicles will be brought and stored on site as needed. It'll be a full perimeter fence that cannot be seen through. And of course, I've put conditions in your packet to consider, which he has a copy of. I've had no calls for or against this application, and actually no calls with questions on this application up to tonight.
Mr. Napier, would you take a second and come on up? Okay.
Board, my name is James Robert Napier. I've been doing business in Prince Edward County. I guess some of you probably were on the board in 2020, some of you won't. I actually put a smaller lot, and I'm renting this piece in 2020 at 111 Patrick Henry Highway. And I actually bought the piece that we're discussing tonight. And I had talked to all my neighbors around before I did it, Ms. Bass, Mr. Faircloth. I spoke with him when I first purchased the property. Didn't have any, trying to find out. Miss Karen Isaac, didn't, don't see anybody at that property. It's not maintained. But my plan is to, move from my location. It'd take me some time and fence in this area with a fence. And if I think I need to plant trees on the other side, I will. It's kind of one of them things. I don't have an engineer. Kind of do it the old school way as I go along. And I run a pretty clean operation in Charlotte County. I'm probably the largest company in Charlotte County now. And I've already got 20 loads of millings just because it happened before the meeting there. I'm gonna run a clean operation. We store vehicles from Prince Edward and, wherever. And my thought was the fire departments and stuff, we've been hauling cars to Maharan or this one needs it. Well, they can just go there, do it, and I can just go ahead and, scrap the cost of the hauling it to one place. And, where everybody, because they need to train and stuff, and just try to make it where everybody can use it. Or we have a bad storm and the power company needs to store some stuff because God knows, we all know everybody's stealing their stuff on the side of the road. They can use like maybe the overflow lot or something for 2 or 3 months if they in here doing a job in the southern end of the county. I don't want it only just to make money, but to help the community too. I spoke with everybody. We run a clean operation. I know some people say a junkyard. No, sir. We run a clean operation. We put most of the pieces of the cars in bags or back in the car, and it sits there until they come and get it. And one of the reasons for the expansion is the electric vehicles. They're requiring 50 by 50 space or concrete. Well, I've already run into 2 of those, and I want to make sure they stored safely and adequate where the fire department can get to it if we have to. And this location is a mile and a half from the fire department. They can get to it pretty good. It's in a perfect location because there's really no lots down in the southern end. And like I said, I've been doing business. I don't run up here in Farmville. This is kind of Third Street's territory. We don't, we go where we call, but we don't run up on top of each other. That's about it. But I'm gonna make it look nice and neat and plant my fence. And this will be a slow process. It's nothing. And if somebody has a concern, maybe Miss Bass, Mr. Faircloth, or one of you guys, just call me. Look, I'll meet you, do what I can. I'll call Mr. Love. Mr. Love will call me. But I run a pretty clean operation in Charlotte County. I've got it beside my building. I'm actually probably going to have to move that lot because of the electric cars to do a little something different with this technology.
How long has your operation been in Charlotte County?
I started in Charlotte County in 2016. My father ran a shop there for years.
Okay.
And another reason for this is insurance companies. A lot of people don't have insurance now, so it takes us about 30 to 90 days to process a car through the DMV paperwork. And that's where that overflow, I could stick them to the side, out of the site while I'm waiting on that part to go through. And the office wouldn't be open, but, 8:30 to 4:30 most time, Monday through Friday. And then if I had to meet somebody for special occasions, medication left in a car, whatever. But look, where I'm at now, I'm like right in the guy's yard that lent it to me. I pulled in the other night, Sunday morning, like 6 o'clock. Nobody ever knew I was there. It's pretty quiet. We joined the railroad there. I was down there with the tractor the other day doing just a little cleanup side of the road, and I could hear the train over top of the tractor. So the train's gonna be a whole lot louder. It's gonna be more noise there from the train in 360 than I'll ever make.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Napier? Lou, go ahead.
Henry and myself have been volunteer firemen for 45 years plus. I'm not so sure the jury has made a verdict on what to do with a battery powered car if it catches on fire. So I would set that as far away from everything that you've got.
And I have emergency number. I've actually already set up, I'm in the towing board, so I actually set up on the electric cars. I've got a phone number to call, and they tell us, you know, if it's level 1, 2, or 3, I think it is. That's a green, red, and a yellow. I've already got all that and got the phone number, and I'm like you, I've done it. These things scare me, but that's why I want enough room to get them away from everybody. And that may be all that goes in the overflow lot. You know, that's gonna be one of them things that we determine, and that may be where they need to go because they all still learning. The technology's on everybody's end. But I attend classes and meetings, and I'm trying to do everything I can to keep everybody happy.
Right now, 50 feet is the code, but you'd like to see a lot more, right?
I would.
Yeah.
What do you think, Amy?
We're debatable if we get a call, whether it even,
That's
how close we're gonna get to it.
That's it, and that's why I said the overflow lot, and that's where we're all at. I mean, I'm on the fire department too, been doing it for 20 years, almost 20 years. And, you know, it's like I said, you call that number, they make the decision, because some of them you can't put out.
Right.
And that's what I want to do now. I'm trying, you know, I'm kind of on a real small area, and I need to kind of get expanded. At least I can put them, you know, in the back or something. If it has to burn up, it has to burn up, you know. In case like that, I have a hazmat company that, this is Scottsbury, he's new, but I can call him, and we can go from there, and then the insurance would have to, you know, take care of that. But I do have one of those on standby that anytime, day or night, I can get him on the phone if we run into a case of that number.
Mr. Napier, thank you. Well, I'm sorry, any other questions?
I got one. You had the place there at Simplicity, is that correct?
No, sir. That one's actually in Lunenburg. That is actually Modern Automotive. He actually just put a new fence back up there.
Okay, where was
I
he-
am
where-
actually back up closer to the drive-in, almost straight across from the drive-in. You
Okay,
can't
I
even
know-
see it.
I know what you're talking about. Logistically wise, I know fencing and all that. And just from your conversation, you say it's gonna be a slow process, which I understand all that. My question is, should that infrastructure be in place before it can be utilized?
The fence would.
Yeah,
Yes.
The fence is.
Yes, sir.
the
Yes,
fence
sir.
is a
Yeah.
requirement,
The
yes.
fence will
That was
be,
my
yes,
question.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, like I said, I may put up, just say half of the fence. I may start at the back and get half, and then just keep working towards it, you know, to make the front. And I got a neighbor doing something across, and I gotta talk to him, and I may need to do the front and work my way back. I just need to see to make, because he's doing something, he's in Lunenburg, but I wanna make sure that whatever he's doing, I don't affect him. You know, I'm very funny about that.
Occupied
Right.
until,
That's right.
okay.
Yeah.
The fence is required before.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the lot I got now and keep operating, but I'm just, you know, that way I can start getting I think my logger's gotta finish up, and then I've gotta do some work, and,
And it is, as you mentioned, it is a privacy fence, so.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
shielded. It's,
yeah, it's gonna be all metal. It may end up being black metal to match the guy's fence across the road. Like I said, I wanna see what he's doing. I think it's something with some food trucks, but don't hold me to that at the old SPCA, but I don't wanna affect him. You know, he's got a business, and if he needs some room to park, I'll slide the fence back. It may not be that big on that side.
okay.
You know, I'm gonna make everything work for the neighborhood is what I'm trying to do.
Just a point of clarification, for any kind of salvage yard or storage yard, screening requirement is a solid panel fence.
Yes.
It's in the code.
Right.
And if you remember, we had that discussion during the material storage for the better built sheds last month.
Right. I saw that in the notes.
Yep.
Yes, sir. James.
I have a question for you, please, about the larger part of your property where you're going to put the overflow lot. How do you plan to, that's all the way one corner of the property, how do you plan to access it? You're just going to build a road all the way
Yeah,
through
I'm going,
that piece?
I gotta cut an entrance. I'm gonna fix it where when I come off of Price G, I've already got the thing from VDOT here, me and, Mr. Edwards met out there, and I'm gonna fix the road all the way to the back. And like I said, that'll probably be later. I'll probably get this one going and just kind of work as I go. It's kind of gotta pay for itself, you know, to make everything work. Like I said, my logger's gotta finish up, and then I gotta go from there. He hasn't even got on that side yet, so.
And then what, do you have plans about what you want to do with the rest of that section of the property, once you have that?
Probably, if I can get the fence to the side, I'm probably just sow it down in grass and keep it cut and make it look good. Maybe if hay or if somebody around the neighborhood wants to cut it, that's fine, but I'm gonna try to clean it up and make it look, that side look good. And as far as like Mr. Fairclough's house, I don't even think we gonna cut timber. That land makes I sent you guys a picture, let's see. I'm not even gonna cut the timber thing makes a point on it. I gotta look at it. The thing makes a point right there on the, beside Mr. Faircloth. We not even go through with the timber between the power line and him. It'll probably be a 25, 30-foot buffer from the power line to him. I'm not even gonna fool with that when the guy cuts it.
That's even better, that's great.
I got one additional question. I know this is permitted for a towing and recovery lot. It's not gonna be a chop shop per se.
No.
Okay.
No, I run
Because
it.
that's a whole different animal.
No,
That's all
I've got a rebuilder's license, all that's in Charlotte County. So that, anything that would do that would go back to my main facility.
Okay, I know where that's at. Yeah.
This is basically storage.
Yeah, this is gonna be
Towing
storage for
recovery,
whatever we
yeah.
wreck, or say I pick up something for somebody going to an auction, we just stick it there and then take it on to the auction.
Right.
And I do, and I think you see it's plans for office and maybe a little storage building now in the future to put the trucks in. But like I said, all that, the fence is gonna be the main thing, the dirt work and the fence, and then kind of work on any conditions, just put some lights over the fence, and that's just because of the theft crime rate.
Okay. Additional questions? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
With that, we'll open the public hearing. We have nobody signed up to speak. Does anybody here in the audience wish to speak for or against the special use permit for the yard towing? Is anybody on the phone that wishes to speak for or against the truck yard towing and recovery lot?
Carol Conrad?
Yeah.
I am curious about the sign that he wants to put up. It's already dangerous enough to come out of my road to get on 360.
That's the next hearing. If you could just hold off, we'll finish this hearing and then, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with no comments and nothing to discuss, we will close that portion of the public hearing, and we can discuss amongst. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey, hi. This is Connie and Amy Fairfax, and we live on Foxy Road as well. And our property butts up against Mr. Lakewood's property. And we just have some concerns. Our main concern about this overflow lot being near our property is the potential for the groundwater to be contaminated by some of the, I don't know if we picked up stretch vehicles or not, but I'm worried about contamination by the stored vehicles. Our water comes from a well on our property, and that cause poses a very serious environmental health threat due to the fluids that often leak from them. And that includes gas, antifreeze, fuel oil. These fluids contain toxic and carcinogenic chemicals, heavy metals, and other poisons. Where the overflow lot is marked on the map that Mr. Napier sent in, is at the top of a good-sized field back there in the train track. And at the bottom of that field, a small stream that runs into a large stream that crosses both of our properties, Mr. Napier and ours. When it rains, my concern is that the water, some of those toxins, and chemicals down into the stream, contaminate the soil on our property and the well water. And also, we wanted to ask about the map that you sent in. Looks like it's a hunting, like printed from a hunting house or something. And, it's not actually
Okay, thank you. We're going to address those, or at least bring those up right now. Mr. Napier, was the survey done?
No, sir.
Okay.
Not on that side. I found all the stars except for every road, and I planned on before I did anything over there on that side. 2 weeks ago.
Okay. But as far as VDOT,
We got approved everything.
so you have a entrance approval from VDOT there, okay, right.
As part of the construction side of this, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, we would verify with the applicant where his property lines
Right.
are and ensure setbacks, even for the fence, would be met and his entrance would be adequate, as far as that's
Right.
concerned. And as far as the site itself, I direct you to, condition number 7, which I put on anything that has anything to do with automobiles.
Yes.
And I'll state that if that's okay.
Please do.
All facilities for provisions of potable water and sewage disposal shall be approved by the local, state, and federal agency, including, not limited to, that's not the one. All pollution control measures, sediment control measures, stormwater control measures, all construction activities shall comply with the requirements of the appropriate federal, state, local regulations and ordinances. So that meant, so number 6, we will ensure, as far as when the permitting, when he's doing land clearing and doing that, he'll go through ENS review. Also, again, and if you want to add anything else in here, you can. But this type of facility would be subject to,
ENS.
you got OSHA and EPA, I think it looks at your sites,
Yeah,
potentially.
we're actually exempt, but, and I was gonna speak on that. Most of the time.
I think you should speak on that.
The influence of the vehicle, the leak, it didn't run straight. And I'm very funny about it. If it's leaking, we're gonna put pans, we're gonna take care of all that. I mean, look, I got them in my house. I mean, not right in my house, but I got them right in my shop.
Right.
And, I'm very funny about that. If it's leaking too bad, we're going somewhere else. It's gonna end up at the shop, in the shop.
And did you hear that regarding the survey? Make sure that the setbacks, so it does not conflict with your property lines, that that's required. And is also, as we just read there, the one point about all state, local guidelines and ENS to make sure that everything meets code before the permit is actually given.
Great. We typically never require a land survey as far as an applicant. That would be unheard of.
Right.
He would have to, but it's part of his job to certify on his final site plan that he has met setbacks and that his driveway is on his property and his activities are on his property. So if there's a question on that, then he'll have to get with the surveyor and mark those lines. But,
That'll be phase 2.
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Well, the property lines would have to be confirmed before any road can be put in. And setbacks would have to be adhered to. The county code for setbacks would have to be in place for this before any construction of a road can occur.
Nothing we're doing tonight allows any activity outside of his parcel that he owns.
Yeah.
And he has to have access directly to his parcel.
Right.
Which VDOT has. already
VDOT
given.
has approved. Does that make sense?
I'll get that side survey for you.
We'll work that. We'll be there.
The applicant has confirmed that he's going to make sure a survey is done, and we will work that out with VDOT, because VDOT has to approve any access entrance before any construction can be done. Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions from the board? Did our customer today? Is there somebody else on the line that wants to speak? Okay, thank you. Okay, from the board standpoint, going back to the public hearing, I'm sorry.
I do want to state, if the applicant offers up that he will survey, that's,
There-
you can put, add
On
that
that
as a.
side, on the overflow, overflow.
Yes.
I mean, but are they looking at this, you know, like, we don't have a GIS, so
Yeah.
this is not 100%
Right,
accurate,
right.
you know, deal with this every
Yeah.
day. So if that's what they're going by,
Yeah, there isn't,
it might not be an
No, he
issue.
also has a lot of access on the state highway, so if you come to find out that it doesn't have price G,
yeah.
an entrance could be obtained off of 460. I mean, that,
And I'll do it to make it right. I
Right.
mean,
yeah,
I'll give them a survey,
I don't-
that's what he asked
Yeah.
for.
We don't consider that an
Maybe have
issue.
the corners marked.
360, I'm sorry, I said it wrong, my apology.
360.
I travel that road enough. 360. Thank you.
So for this public hearing, I guess from the board standpoint, do we have a motion to approve? Turn down, do we have a motion? I said for the special use permit. This would be for the truck yard towing and recovery lot.
No, I motion to approve.
I'll second.
With
Wait a second.
conditions that,
With conditions, with the conditions as stated, okay. And we do have a second? Okay.
Phase one side of it.
Yep,
well, this is for both.
this is for both.
For both.
Yeah, this is for both.
This is for both, but he's basically gonna start.
Phase one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Leatherwood? We have a motion and a second.
To approve.
You approve? Okay.
I'm sorry, I was reading this paper.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Mr. Weiss?
Yes.
Mr. Womack?
Yes.
Mrs. Sandlin?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Motion is approved. We will pass this on to the County Board of Supervisors. Thank you. Next public hearing is for the 2 illuminated signs. Would you like to speak again, sir?
Yeah.
Would you like to give me an intro?
I think everybody got a packet.
Let me do an intro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Mr. Lovewood always gives us an intro. You can, yeah, that's my fault.
Mr. Chairman, since the first public hearing was successful, this public hearing is at the same location on both sides of 360. The applicant is requested to put 2 40-square-foot illuminated signs. 40 square foot is a standard size in this district. The fact that it's illuminated, if you remember, we just did the illuminated signs for the school systems, that required that public hearing, and since he has 2 business locations with that second sign, we needed to do his public hearing. On the Free State Road side of 360, he's got a 40-square-foot pole sign that would be 15 feet tall due to topography, and on the Price Key Road sign, he's got a sign that would be a total of 8 feet, since the topography doesn't drop off on that side. I've got several conditions in here that cites lighting shall not spill onto adjoining properties or the highway, and some other self-enforcing conditions. This has been properly advertised. Adjoining property owners sent notifications, and I've had no contact for or against this application since it was advertised.
Any questions for Mr. Love?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, please. Robbie, once installed, given the topography difference, will the heights of the 2 signs be the same?
Potentially, we'll measure from grade. On the sign height will be measured from grade. I guess visually, do they line up pretty?
That's what I'm trying to.
That's your goal, right?
That's my goal, that's why I asked for that variance, because if you look at my property, you go down 360, this one's high.
Yes.
And this one's kind of a hole.
Mhm.
Well, I'm still trying to backfill, it'd be easy just to put poles and get everything to look, I wanna match, like the guy across the road, I know he's in other county, but once he gets through what he's doing, I want everything to kind of visually look aesthetic. You know, I wanna match everybody's style, I don't wanna be here and here, I kinda wanna make everything look flow. And look, it may not be the, you know, the other one may be short.
Right.
I'm just trying to compare the guardrail over here, too, so you got, not only got, oh, you got, what, 24 inch, 36 inch guardrail.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
And as far as, I've never heard somebody say some, with the site, I'm gonna make sure you can see, you know, small cars,
Right.
like set back, shift it.
And no signage can be put in right away.
Right.
And VDOT looks at signage when we're looking at that. We'll look at it from sight distance. So there's will be nothing put in right away.
Right.
These will be all on his property.
Any other questions for Mr. Lowe?
Yes, I have a question. Are you gonna place both signs now, or are you just gonna place the one where you're gonna build the
I'm
office
gonna
at?
place the first one now, and then once I get the survey done, I probably go ahead and place the second one on that side. But just because Mr. Farquhar wants the survey, I'll call him tomorrow, and let him get through, and I'll go get the survey guys, survey that side.
Okay, very good. Okay, with no other questions, we'll open the public hearing. Again, anybody here wish to speak for or against? Yes, if you can come up to the podium.
My name is Sharon Dodson, and I'm from Lockett County. And I don't understand why, if you're doing a business, or if you're a personal property, or a private owner in the county, that you have to come in and get a special permit for a sign, or a flag, or have to pay a fee. As long as he's respectful of the road and not blocking the view, does he have to do all that? It doesn't make sense to me that you have to come in and ask permission for everything that you do, for everything that you own in the county. It looks like you're taking rights away from everybody, whether it be private or personal or a business. It just doesn't make sense. I think you ought to give it to him.
In the case of signage, the county ordinance requires a special use permit for this.
It does, but
Yes.
why?
It's an ordinance that's in place within the county.
Because we're taking rights away.
We're not taking rights away, we're trying to make sure that we're consistent within the county. But thank you for your comments. Is anybody on the phone that wishes to speak regarding the signage?
Conrad from Princeton. The sign that would be on the Princeton side, I was just curious, because when you come out of our road, you have to look up over the railroad bridge. I just wanted to be sure that we would have clear view coming out of the road.
That is one of the guidelines and assurances we have working with VDOT. VDOT requires that there's no blockage, line of sight still has to be there for any traffic. But we thank you for your comment there. Yeah, yes, that's, the goal is to make sure that that doesn't intrude anybody's sight getting in or out, either on the road, getting on the road, or driving on the road. Signs cannot be a deterrent or a hindrance to driving. Thank you very much. With no other questions, the public hearing is closed. Hello?
Hi, it's Connie Fairclough again. I just have a couple comments.
Sure.
Listening to you guys, I understand now that DDOT will be, their job is to make sure that it doesn't, it's not in the way of the view of the traffic. Now, I do want to say that the sign in the Price Street side road, not on the other side of the highway, but on our side of the highway, where Price Street comes out to 360, is a really bad spot. The visibility in the traffic coming down 360 is really bad. We've had many accidents down there at that area, and multiple fatalities right there at that area. And I think that I don't want anything that's gonna distract the driver coming out of here, or coming down through 60, with people pulling out in front of them. A lit up large sign like that, I don't know, I believe it would probably be a distraction, there. And not only that, but, haven't, I don't understand the necessity of quiet residential area. And I don't want a big sign telling people, you know, come over here, come over here. I don't understand why we just can't have a sign on the other side. If it's an overflow spot, well, why do we need, you know, a sign right there? That's all I really wanted to say. I don't, and I wish something that deal well. I hope it business does well and public. I like my little quiet area.
Though we currently understand your comments, the two things I do want to say is the county will definitely look at the signage and understand that it has to be consistent, number one, with what we do in the county. And then from VDOT's standpoint, VDOT does not permit any signage within the right-of-way or any signage that's going to impact or interfere with sight distance or impede that for any drivers on the highway.
We actually have that as a condition.
Yeah, and that is a condition we have on this special use permit. So we will certainly take a look at the signage.
It's a very hard spot there to be able to cross 360 as it is.
Okay. Like I said, the requirement is, one of the conditions we have is that VDOT will have to ensure that the right-of-way, there's no signs located within the right-of-way or that it impedes any sight distance. But we certainly appreciate your comments.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I ask the applicant
Sure.
a question? To Ms. Faircloth's point, what is the purpose of the sign on the Price G side of this?
Really, I mean, because if you stand on one side, which is, you can't see the sign over here. And I said that
Did you mind?
Let me go to the microphone.
the reason for the second sign is east and west track. If you go up and down 360, you look at the signages for businesses. Most of them, you either see them or they're way up in the air, and I don't want to do that. I want to be, pretty level and everything. And that way, if you're going west on 360, you can see it, and if you're going east on 360, you can see us.
So will the,
And they're going to be able to see the difference. The other way, it's going to look like a farm road. I mean, for the most part, you're going to see a farm road before you see a lot back at the railroad tracks. You're not going to go to nobody's house.
so will the sign on the Price G side have an arrow or something pointing people to
If-
your office? So
If you
to-
would
to
like
her
that,
point?
if you would like me to do that, but I'm just gonna put a backwards towing and recovery sign, and I can use the address I can put the address on the sign, whatever they give me, it'd be 800, Free State Road, but they're not gonna go to your house.
Go ahead, Mr. Love.
I'd like to expand on that. I've talked to you out there, and working with Trey Powell, we will, because of the fact it's vehicle storage for fire, be assigning addresses to these locations separately. So, there is a safety factor, and you get the fire department, of course, it's the same guy working. You want to make sure if you go into the overflow lot, that you've got the sign out there to go to the overflow lot if there's situation. Right, likewise, the original lots.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna do everything to make everybody happy. I mean, just like they asked for a survey, no problem, we're gonna do it. And I figured I was gonna need to do it anyway, once I got to that point. But over here on the other side, I know where all the markers are, and I've met with Miss Bass, and she's told me a lot about it. She was glad I was cleaning up. She said, I have some light and I'll be able to see to get out the driveway.
So the purpose of the signs isn't just advertising, promotion,
No.
it's directional. It's
Yes.
so people
Yeah.
know
For
which
safety
piece
purposes,
of the
too.
property does what.
Right. And like I said, you put that lot back in the back corner of the railroad tracks, I'm gonna flatten the spot, of course. And then, and it may be when I come over the railroad bridge, once I might set some posts and realize, hey, I need to slide this thing 5 or 6 foot and plant me a row of them blockout trees, I call them. And, I'm gonna try to make everything look aesthetic, and I'm not gonna run up on no neighbor, that's why, if you look at the map, it's all the way to the line over there on 360 between the VDOT and the thing. And then on the other side, they had that drainage pipe that goes through, I guess it's a wet weather branch. And I stayed 25 feet off, so if they ever have to do something, they've got 25 feet on me, don't have to move anything. And then they got the whole other side so they can jack them pipes through there. I want to make sure that everything works together.
Maybe you might want to put office on the other side.
Yeah.
So they know that's.
Yeah, I could put a little
Yeah,
off, put the
right,
office right
that's
up
the
on the
office
small thing.
That's a good point.
But most people, you gonna notice real quick, you gonna figure it out real quick once the first sign goes up. It don't take long in the neighborhood, and they'll probably stop at the store, and the guy had to point them this way anyway.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? So we do have the special use permit for signage.
You don't mind, I want to say something. There's a fire on the overflow lot. I don't think the fire department's gonna need an illuminating sign for town.
We understand that from a business standpoint, the special use permit is proposed to have lighted signs. And again, for consistency there and for visual aspect, but I do understand what you're saying. And thank you. We have closed the public hearing, though, but thank you. Discussions within the board, questions?
It seems like a simple fix, if there are going to be two signs, is to make the signs clear what's
Right.
going on at those respective locations.
One is the office and one is the
One's
overflow.
office, one is the overflow lot. It seems
And-
like it's a simple enough fix.
Yeah. Yeah. And working with VDOT as well as the county is not going to allow you to put a sign anywhere where it's going to restrict or impede, sight distance. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah.
I'm funny about my signs, because I want to make sure I can get it, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's a small car, big truck, you gotta make sure you, and like I said, I drew the lines, but it may shift.
Yep. Well-
In the general area.
If this were approved, this would go through a zoning permit with his final sign schematic, so I could review that.
Right.
Then it would also go through, that would be looked at by VDOT.
because
And then
of-
also he'd have a building permit, just if he's putting any kind of concrete in or anything like, we just putting post in. But we'd make sure from a standpoint, when it's installed, that it's installed properly.
And it's built on the proper property lines.
Yeah.
Within the setbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
phase one, and I'll go even with phase two, so they probably soon as more approved, the other ones get surveys. We'll get by hand. And bring it up to date, I think the survey I have here was 55, 56 when they split the road.
Been some time. Do we have a motion here from the board? And the motion would include the current stipulations in there that Mr. Love has put in there?
I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve, make motion approval per the conditions.
For the
stated.
conditions, stipulations we have in there?
Second.
Okay. Mrs. Sandlin,
Yes.
Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam,
Yes.
Mr. Leatherwood,
Yes.
Mr. Page,
Yes.
Mr. Peary,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss.
Yes, but I want to make sure I understand the conditions include that the signs are clear about what's
Yes.
happening. That's what you meant in your motion?
Yes, yes. Mr. Womack.
Yes.
Motion is approved. We'll pass it on to the County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Napier, thank you for your time. Okay. Next on the agenda would be a review of supervisors' actions. Mr. Love?
Yes, at the last board meeting, the board passed an emergency ordinance which would amend the temporary sign ordinance of the county, putting in place, increasing the total allotted flag size from 40 square feet individually to a site total of 120 square feet. So as such, that will bring that, refer that to you all. You have to have a public hearing. You got to have that public hearing within 60 days. So we will be having that at your, scheduling that and advertising that for the July 18th public hearing. I'm sure you read in the paper, I had consistently enforced our flag temporary sign ordinance. sent a couple of violations, and then we had a large number of public speakers that came to the board meeting. And I don't know if Mr. Gillen wants to expand on anything I said, but after a lot of deliberation, a lot of public speaking during public participation, they passed that. That's the option. There's 4 options put forth, and that was the option, which would limit total site signage. So you could have 3 40 square foots, you could have 2 60 square foots, or you could have 1 120 square foot.
That's what I was asking, yeah.
Or any combination thereof to
Any
cover
combination
120
thereof.
feet,
Yeah.
120 square feet.
The way it was written before, you could have up to 3 40 square feet.
Right.
This would increase it, so somebody wanted to fly a single American flag or any other kind of flag could fly up to 120 square feet with a single flag.
Right, okay,
And it was a response to the citizens of the county.
right, okay.
So we'll have that public hearing advertised for your next meeting.
Okay,
So
very
far, that's the only one I have.
Okay. Any other comments?
I don't have anything else from the
Okay.
board. As far as we put forth the comprehensive plan schedule. The board did approve the comprehensive plan to start, and we've got from our consultants, the Berkeley Group, an actual schedule, which is on the last page. They're actually going to meet with us, staff, in August, and then we'll have a kickoff in October.
Okay.
So the only difference between what we had talked about before is the staff meeting with them was actually happening in August, heading towards that October. Previously, we talked about everything starting in October.
Right, okay.
But we'll kind of give them
Advance.
Yeah.
Overview.
go over the scope and all the type of work and what we want to happen at the October meeting. So that's I have one other item of new business.
Go ahead.
I was contacted by Mr. Preston Hunt, who has decided to step down effective immediately. So he called me
noticed he
last,
wasn't here,
he
yes.
called me last week on that. He said he was gonna send me a letter. He sent me that letter today.
Okay.
So I didn't put, it was for personal reasons. I didn't put that in your
Sure.
packet. But he is, just got got more personal issues and time, in coming to the meeting. Just
Right.
took too much time away from him for his personal issues.
Okay.
So, just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, very good. Okay.
We will miss them.
Yes.
And so the board, that way that happens, the board will, the county will have, we have, anybody's already signed up for that type of, for the interest in the, planning commission, we'll look at them, reach out to them. If not, we'll put it on the county website and people can fill out an interest form.
Can we send out a letter of appreciation?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can do that.
yeah, certainly can. If you want to, I can bring that to you. I'll have that copy to you next meeting and let you know what it is.
At the same time, Mr. Love, and this may not be the right time to bring it up, but it's unusual that the County Board of Supervisors has 8 members, and the Planning Commission has 10 members. I'm not here to say that we need to change that, but is it something we should be looking at this time?
And part of that is the fact that we have a board member.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but,
Yeah, that could be one option, is let that one stay off.
Right.
And
yep,
ideally, we'd have representation for each of the 8
Correct,
different districts.
yes.
So right now, I think we've got maybe one district that's 3.
right,
But, I think that's the goal, when we talk about the board, is eventually to work down where we get to that.
I think a combination of both of those, how can we get more districts involved over time, as somebody would either, relocate, retire from the board or whatever, consideration might be that way. Do we consider, because at one time it was 8 on both, I'm not here to say that we should go to 8, I'm just saying that's an option we need to look at here. I think representation is critical, but I know that from a county standpoint, some of the residents might like to have representation from their district that may not occur there. I don't know that County Board of Supervisors is perfect that way, but I think they're a lot closer than we are as a board. I just think that's something for a discussion we might want to have, Not to say we don't want to fill Mr. Hunt's position, but it may be a consideration we look at on long term and say that maybe it shouldn't be filled. I just throw that out to the board. That may be that may be something just that,
Maybe above our pay grade.
yes, maybe above our pay grades here.
Took the words out of my mouth.
I will pass that along.
And we're not asking for an increase, we're just saying it may be above our pay grades. Any other new business? Does anybody from the board have any old business or new business? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Assignment.
Yeah.